The Premier League is well and truly back. I mean, I was the most excited I've ever been for a Premier League season, but that game last night blew my mind. I did not expect all of those emotions. I know it's usually what we are, stress FC, second half FC. But after the 2-0, I mean, we got to see Hugo Kitike make his Premier League debut and shine, getting that goal and an assist. He scored the opener, obviously, the elation you felt with that. The noise at Anfield. I know quite a few people that were at Anfield last night, and they were saying it was one of the loudest it's been. And even Anisla post-match said the last 5 to 6 minutes, he couldn't believe the atmosphere at Anfield. And imagine Giovanni Leoni was in the crowd. That would have been the first time he probably experienced Anfield, and those were the scenes he got to see. So he definitely thought to himself, I made the right decision to join this football club. But man, guys, being a Liverpool fan this season is gonna be like this. The roller coaster of emotion we felt, like after 2-0, I was like, we can relax. But obviously 2-0 is such a dangerous scoreline because you do start to relax a little bit. And then if the team, shout out to Antoine Semenyo, by the way, what a mentality to bounce back in the way after the racist incident in the first half. The way he responded, Slot talked about it post match too. He said, "What a player." Not just the ability, because everybody knows about his ability in the Premier League, but the way that he's able to respond in that way. Wow, hats off to him. And I hope that that fan or so-called fan that was at Anfield never sets foot again in Anfield. But yeah, after the 2-1, you just felt like all the momentum was back towards Bournemouth. But that's again what we love about the Premier League. Like, there's no Premier League game where you go into it before kickoff and you say, it's going to be a comfortable win. I mean, yes, back in the day when City were robotic and they dominated and you felt like they won every game 4 or 5-0. But now it's this Premier League season, it feels like the teams, it's not going to be that way. And there's just so much drama. There's so many twists and turns to come. But yeah, I remember thinking before the game, like, this is not going to be as easy as many are making it out to be because it's the freaking Premier League, and that's why it's the best league in the world. Just imagine the amount of rival fans that were watching last night too at the 2-2. They would have been like, yes, Liverpool's dropping points. But the reality is we do it the Liverpool way, comeback FC, second half FC, drama FC, stress FC. I really want to do this season, by the way. I want to get like I have an Apple Watch already. I gotta see if I can get the heart rate up during watch alongs because I'm curious to see how the heart rate goes up and down along the game because I just think it would be funny to showcase that. But yeah, guys, it's just gearing up, I think, to be the craziest season ever. And for those of you that were stressed, I saw quite a lot of people were worried about our defensive stability, our ability to keep the ball in the midfield, especially when Maka came off. It felt like we lost a lot of that control because he was, our best midfielder. But don't forget, he's still returning back to full match fitness, and Gravenberch was suspended. So next game against Newcastle away, that's going to be a tough one. That midfield battle is going to be tough. Tonali, Joelinton, they're very, very good. And the atmosphere is going to be electric as well. In that game, Gravenberch will be back, and I think Maka will be able to play the full 90 minutes. So having Maka and Gravenberch in there is so, so crucial. And you saw Slot post-match, he was frustrated again with Soboslai. One of the goals, Sobo tried to do some kind of trick, and that's when we lost possession, and they were able to counterattack, and they scored. And I think he's definitely going to be having a word with Sobo to say you cannot be that sloppy in the midfield sometimes. And not to single him out, right? But it's just to say sometimes in the midfield we're a bit too sloppy, especially when we're on the attack and we're playing such a high line where if we lose that ball, we're susceptible to such a dangerous counterattack. And that's exactly what happened, So we need to be wary of that, but I am not worried whatsoever because Slot would have identified that right away and he won't want us to repeat those kind of mistakes, because the reality is we shouldn't have let Bournemouth back into the game. Yes, it's great for the drama, for the entertainment, and ultimately that's what sport and football is about. But it would be nice to have a few games this season that are stress-free, you know what I mean? Because otherwise for our hearts, like genuinely, it's very dangerous for our voice. It's genuinely dangerous because I shouted way too much, and it's also dangerous for, potentially getting kicked out of our apartments this season. So overall, I think it would be great to have some games where we could just relax a little bit, but it is the beauty of football, and it's the beauty of the Premier League. And I'm just blessed that we're all football fans and we get to experience all of this because I don't think there's anything quite like it. The ups and downs and every emotion you can feel over 90 plus minutes for me, it's what it's all about, and like I said, for example, when you look at the City teams in the past where everything felt so robotic, I wonder what that felt like to certain fans when every game is almost pre-decided, and there's that level of domination. I'm not so sure. Obviously, it's nice, but over the long term, I do think some drama is what makes beautiful, football so special and beautiful. But guys, let me know what you thought about that game and how you're feeling ahead of this season now that we've played our first game of the Premier League season. It is great to start off by scoring 4 goals. That goal would have done the world of good for Mohamed Salah, and what a beautifully taken goal, by the way. When he was on that left-hand side, I was like, damn, he usually doesn't score from that side because he'll have to turn onto his right, but he did brilliantly. And it's not much of a surprise because he always gets a goal contribution on the opening day, and he has a record now, 10 goals on the opening day. No one has double digits for that, and it just shows his elite mentality. I remember Mohamed Salah, he spoke once about one of the best pieces of advice he ever received, and it was during the beginning of his time at Liverpool. And Arsene Wenger went to visit our training ground, and he asked Wenger, what for you differentiates a good player, and obviously all the players in the Premier League are very good players, between a very good player, I guess, because Premier League players are very good players, and a great, like an all-time great. And Arsene Wenger says the mentality. And he says what splits the good players, or the very good players, and the great players is your ability to stay in the game, the levels of concentration, attention to detail, fitness, to be on it till the very last second of the game. And I've never seen a player play for Liverpool that epitomizes that more. So it just shows he's the type of player who has the mentality to ask the great managers for advice, but not just ask, learn and grow. And boy, has he taken on that advice, because that game was another one where it felt like, oh, this could be a game where he actually doesn't get a goal contribution, and it feels like every game he gets a goal contribution. And he stayed till the end, stayed concentrated, stayed at the top of his game, and that's what you get. You're rewarded, and for me, that again, just, I think it could be another record-breaking season for Mo as well, because look at the shape he's in to remain that way and overcome the emotion, the outpouring emotion that we saw full time too. The first time we played in the Premier League without Diogo Jota, for these players to have lost such a close friend, I can't begin to imagine what that feels like, but the way they reacted was just unbelievable, unbelievable. And it looks like it's going to be a real roller coaster of a season. But again, that's when I think about that, that's when I go back to what football really is about. It epitomizes life. It epitomizes what's beautiful about life, which I think is embracing every emotion, and experiencing the highs and lows of life. Like when I look back on my celebration from when Chiesa scored the winner last night, I look at that and I'm like, is that really me? Like, I'm usually quite a calm and chill guy, like in day-to-day life, and I look at that and I'm like, how did I lose my mind? Why am I turning into a freaking tomato? Like, I was the same color as the freaking Liverpool shirt. But when I look back on that, I'm like, but that's it. That's why football is so brilliant, because it allows you to bring out those emotions, and I'm not thinking about the way I am during a game. I'm just watching and embracing and living. And that's what life is about, living. It's about living. And I think football is always a reminder of that, and to have that every single week, and to have something you look forward to every single week for all of us Scousers all around the freaking world. It is so special. Like in the live stream last night, the amount of Liverpool fans I heard that were tuning in from Australia, where it was 3-4 a.m. kickoff time. That's just incredible. And when I see the global community and global support that this club has, and football in general, that's again where I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing, and how it brings all of us together, and how someone who's maybe based in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, for example, has never been to Anfield. Doesn't freaking matter. You understand the passion, you understand what it means, and you feel it. And that's all that it's about. Whether you ever get to go to Anfield or not, we get to share all those moments together. And last night was just another reminder of that. And it just, my love of this football club has just risen to another level. Not just, it's already where it is, but Man, guys, it is so good to be back. It is so good to be back. But let me know how you felt about that game and just the return of the season. Guys, we are so blessed. You'll never walk alone. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend, guys. All the best.